Yeah, cool. So, hello everyone. Um, Today we're here with Kent C Dodds, React guru and inventor of React testing library. He has a bunch of courses, Egghead videos, Egghead courses, and there's lots and lots of stuff in React ecosystem and in the community in general. So hi again. Yeah, and to explain to our listeners what we'll be doing today, we will do a bunch of really awesome stuff. So we will create our React app with the GraphQL API that we will bootstrap right now using Hasura, and then we will connect it to our own business logic by using Netlify functions. Now, the the app that we'll create will be a simple blog CMS type of thing, and we will actually filter for bad words in these blog posts. And we'll see if will be a blog post with bad words, it will be substituted to stars or underscores or something like that. So let's get started. And we actually trying out today a new thing with VS Code uh, live share. So yeah, now Kent is typing. And this is me. Ah, yeah, it's laggy. Anyways, let's get started. So right now our app is pretty empty one. So what we want to do, we want to create our API. To create GraphQL API, we can go to Hasura.io and get started with Heroku free tier. It's just a simple method that we can do. Ken, have you tried Hasura before? Nice. So it's a new experience for both of us because I haven't tried Netlify functions actually. I wanted to try them. Um, yeah. Both of us learning new stuff, right? And we'll see. We'll try to do everything pretty fast, and so that's why I have like code snippets for some of the things, but not for the API creation. We will actually live code this, and Netlify functions will live code it from scratch. So let's call it live coding. Uh, yeah. um, that's the name. Okay, live coding Netlify. And we have here Heroku thing with Heroku Postgres add-on, and we will create our engine. Now, the engine, the cool part, the engine can run in Docker, right? So it can run anywhere in any cloud. So basically, yeah, originally I thought about trying it on Netlify too, but the thing is because it's an engine, it's not like we have startup times and stuff like that for like serverless things. So it's better to use it to run it in Docker container somewhere. So yeah. No, it's let me show you. So the thing is, what Hasura will create, it will create CRUD GraphQL API for us. So we won't need to create GraphQL server because it can take existing database or a new database. For this manner, we'll create a new one, and it can understand it in and auto generate this GraphQL API. But this is just a CRUD, right? So you need to add some kind of business logic, and that's where Netlify functions shine here, and like any serverless functions. So yeah, yeah, exactly. That's one thing. The other thing is, for example, if you have, so for this specific case with the bad words filter, I agree, you can do it totally on the front end side. But imagine something more complex, or maybe you don't need to, like, you want to write something into database and you don't want to do it in a synchronous way. You don't want to do like this validation logic and wait until it's completed. Maybe also calling like external APIs, and then you write into database, and the client meanwhile waits for all the process to complete, right? So in this in serverless way and async serverless way, we write into database, and then Hasura has a venting system. So it's like similar to like Redux on the architecture, kind of. So it's like there is event triggered, and the event can trigger any serverless function. In fact, you see here we have events, and here is where we will add our Netlify function. So to get started with the database, so we need to create tables. So I will do it first. We have a post, and as you can see, I can set types, and I can execute like this helper function to generate random UID. We'll have title and content for our post. Well, just keep it simple, and we'll have user ID. And I'll have primary key of ID. So now let's create that. It not necessarily need to be normalized. Basically, it can take any existing data from the database. So imagine instead of creating, this is like pgadmin to Postgres. So imagine instead of doing that, you can just run it on top of your existing database with like tons of rows and columns, and it will just auto-generate everything. In fact, yeah, 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 totally. And we can run it on Docker locally, so Postgres will be in different container, and engine will be in other container. Or you can run the engine on Docker locally and just connect to your, I don't know, production database or whatever. So now if you see it here, so we have queries, mutation subscriptions, and everything is already auto-generated for us. So now I can just query for my posts and get title and get content, right? So as simple as that. Now, what I lack here is users, right? I created a user ID, so I need to add another table, users, with also an ID column. Like where, first of all, you have here it in example when you select a type, because if I select timestamp, it will show me, okay, now you can use now. But yeah, but apart from that, it's in the docs. So yeah, but this is good idea, maybe adding it here somewhere. Yeah, it's here. Okay, that's weird. Let's let me try what's going on here. Okay. Okay, so let's see how we can fix it. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, yeah. I think it's probably because it's streaming into my headphones instead of going there, so I need to edit an OBS. The question is where to add that. Yeah, it's kind of a problem that OBS doesn't have this testing thing. Okay. It has input capture and output capture. I think now they will be able to hear you. Yeah, someone say in the chat if they can hear Kent. Okay, people still cannot hear you. Okay, let's see. Because I'm sending the... okay. Just a sec. I think I know how to do that. So I added input capture. In fact, it is the stream how to set up OBS. Okay, output capture. Okay, try to say something. So I'm kind of pipe here Zoom audio device into the thing, so people supposed to hear that, but I'm not sure if they are. What we can actually try to do, you know what? Let's just, it's a hacky way, but let's try to do it that way. Try to say something. Okay, I think I know what's the problem. Say something. Yeah, testing stuff. Okay. I think. Yeah, I think people now supposed to hear you, at least from the.
Can you hear me now? I am talking and I am saying words that hopefully people can hear.
Okay, they can hear you, but really quiet. So.
Well, I am. I think I'm as loud as I can. Am I quiet?
Let's do it that way. It's a hacky thing. So right now, no, you're pretty fine for me, but you like the sounds from internal speakers and the microphones out here.
I see.
It's a hacky way.
So,
but I think now will be better. So people, please tell.
You're gonna put your microphone up next to your speaker.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I mean, it's a hacky thing, but.
Okay, I'll just make sure that I talk loud. Or you turn up your speakers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Try it now.
Cool. Well, let's keep going. We'll see how far we can get.
Just the final thing.
Minutes.
The final thing that I'll increase here. Try to say something.
Yeah. Okay. That's probably helpful.
Yeah. I think now it will be pretty much the same level. Please reply in the chat if you can hear Ken.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me sufficiently well, I guess? May not be perfect, but...
Yeah.
Okay, this works. Cool, let's keep going.
Okay, cool. Finally. Yeah. So, yeah, let's get back here. So you asked about the docs, where I can find the docs, and that's the reason I opened this link. Basically, if you go to the website, have docs here and everything described inside.
Cool. Let's get a link to the people in chat.
Yeah.
So they can find that.
Okay. So here is the link. And yeah, so what we will do now we will add the users table, right? So we want to add text, first name is text, and last name is text, and primary key ID. So you see it here.
Do we need to go into the post and add a foreign key, or?
That's right. That's what we need to do. You're absolutely right. You need to go to user ID, and you need to go here to foreign keys and add the reference table user and an ID, and
I think it'll be
reference from user ID to ID. That's right.
Cool.
We'll save that. And what here now, if we go to relationship. Now, before I add that, I want to show you something. So I would expect that I want to get my user and first name and last name, right?
Yeah, perfect.
But I cannot get that because I haven't set up relationship. So the thing is, it suggests me to do an object relationship as a user, and now I can do that. So I can query that, and yeah. So now the cool part. So you cannot see the structure here. Because,
actually, quick question, if I can interrupt.
Yeah, sure.
So the Hasura is on top of another database, but I'm using Hasura to create the tables in my database. Yeah. How is that working?
SQL statement.
I see. So it's just doing it. So this is kind of like, hey, listen, if you've got a database already with data in it, then you can put Hasura on top. But if you've got an empty database, we'll create tables for you and do all that too.
That's right. And you also can, whenever you have a new database, you also can manipulate tables. And in fact, you can write your own custom. Now the cool part, if you write your own custom SQL, if you write a view and click on track this view will auto-generate queries and subscriptions. And if you do like a SQL function, it will auto-generate mutation. So you can build on top of that. And
fancy.
In fact, there is another cool part of it. So there is, are you familiar with N+1 problem in GraphQL?
Nope.
So the idea is in GraphQL, whenever you have a server, you have a bunch of types are resolved from a bunch of, let's say they are resolved from one data source. So there's several N+1 SQL statements, and there are various solutions for that. The common solution is Data Loader project by Facebook that people use to batch these requests. Now with the Hasura, you don't have this problem at all because my query here actually compiles to one SQL statement. So in a sense, this engine is a compiler. And
okay, interesting. So that only like. Does Hasura support non-SQL databases as well, or is it very specific to SQL only?
So it's specific to Postgres. We're trying to, we're adding MySQL support in the future, and we have a bunch of tools. I will, let's actually get the.
I mean, so to be clear, I'm not a database guy, so I don't really care. With the projects that I have planned, where I'm going to start using, like building apps with databases where I make those decisions, like PayPal, somebody else downstream took care of that stuff. But when I'm starting to make those decisions, I probably won't even deal with databases. I'll use something like this to do all my data stuff because I don't really care about that stuff.
Yeah.
But I was mostly just curious.
Now the thing is, we have a bunch of tools here. So the link that I will share in the chat, this is the community tools that we have, and you basically can go from Firebase to GraphQL, and you can go from JSON to GraphQL, which means like if you have MongoDB, NoSQL database, you can get a dump of this database and you can convert it to GraphQL. Now,
so this would be to migrate from existing databases to.
Yeah. Now the thing.
Okay, so this isn't like let's put GraphQL on top of that. It's let's move from that to this new thing.
Yeah. So so the thing is, Hasura, even though I showed this like fancy console, but people usually ask, okay, what's about CI? What about like the actual, like I do a bunch of stuff visually, but I want to run tests on that. I want to migrate things. So Hasura comes with CLI migrations, and in fact, there was the stream about that, I think 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, about how you do migrations. And in a nutshell, everything that I type here will be written to a local file that you can commit to source control, and then basically in CI you run these migrations files, like Rails like migration. So now the thing is, when we ran this query, we didn't get any data because we haven't had any data inside this empty database. And the mutation that are created, they are like created in a specific way to be optimized. So let's say I don't want to go through the docs, and I want just run mutation. Now there are folks from OneGraph. They created this awesome tool that we integrated inside Hasura. It's called Explorer, and basically tries queries and mutations for you. So, for example, I want to insert post, and I want to say the title will be first post, and the content will be some content. I have a user with first name Vladimir and last name Novik, and it will return maybe an ID and a user ID. Now, if I run that, I basically have two rows created, both user ID and ID. If I go to data, I will see data here, and I will see also data. So it's really convenient. Cool. If you don't know like the actual, you don't want to go through
the syntax or or even you don't want to bother taking the time to write it as well.
Yeah. It's especially for example for queries, you have a bunch of helpers. Like you can do things conditionally. I can say,
oh dude, this is great.
Yeah,
because I'm a total noob with GraphQL queries. I'm always looking up the syntax for this stuff, so this is awesome.
Now the fact is also that we open source that as an online tool. So not necessarily Hasura. If you have just your own GraphQL server, you can go to Graphical Online. You can just enter your endpoint here.
And it can be localhost?
Yeah. I mean, like to Graphical Online, I'm not sure, but you can just run it from here.
Run this locally?
Yeah. You just
send him run build. Like implemented directly into Graphical. I feel like it's a really useful tool that would make sense to just go in Graphical.
Yeah, I think I hope it will be in the future, because it's really it's also a really cool tool when you like teach GraphQL, and I used it in a bunch of my lessons for people to get into the mode of GraphQL and how to use that. Yeah. So let's get back to what we created here. So let's see.
Here, you keep going. I'm gonna sit down. I need to grab my chair though.
You have the chair on the beach, right?
Yeah, chair on the beach.
Nice. Yeah, I'm still on Mars though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like putting this like backgrounds there. So just a second, I wanna open the repo that here, just to make sure we have the data correctly and we're not forgetting anything. Well, there's later on. So we created, let's go to post, modify, we had ID, title, content, user ID, and for users we had first name, last name, maybe address. Yeah, let's just add an address. Maybe let's just add something else. Let's add a timestamp. That first I want to remove the row. Yeah, I cannot because reference here.
That already. Yep.
Now that. Okay. So what I want to add timestamp. and it will be timestamp, and here to get the current date. Cool. That's now the thing is, we want this bed wars filter, right? So the thing is how we will make it work. Whenever we have something added, we can add an event. So we can go to here and we can add event trigger, call it bed wars. Now whenever we add a new post, we want to add some kind of webhook URL, and this is where our Lambda will like Netlify function, right?
Okay, so what's going to trigger this when we insert a new post, right?
Yeah. So I need
and then our Netlify function, what's it gonna do with that? Is it gonna like make a change to what was inserted, or?
In fact, we have already we have this GraphQL endpoint, right? So what we'll do, we will have an additional field here for posts. We'll have it verified as a boolean.
Okay.
And default will be false. So whenever we add a post, it goes through Netlify function. It can run mutation on this endpoint and change verified to true. Now, whenever this happens, because we have subscriptions, our data will be brought back to the client, propagated to the client, right? So that's the major idea.
But our client is going to be filtering the GraphQL, or like its query is going to say, hey, only give me verified posts. Yeah. And so when somebody creates a new post, it's not verified. Netlify kicks off to like filter out all the bad words and then sets verified to true. And then our client, which is subscribed to this particular query, will get an update of that new post.
Yeah.
Very
cool. Basically, we'll run this one, the client.
This seems like maybe this is a contrived example, or to me, it seems like it kind of could be a pretty common use case to want to manipulate data as it comes in, or do some business logic as it comes in. Is this the official solution? Is make a trigger, have a webhook, and then and modify the data afterward?
Yeah, so this is a new concept. It's called three-factor app architecture, and I will share this link too. So this tells the fact that older architecture with microservices, basically it's a synchronous thing, and it causes a bottleneck, right? So in three-factor architecture, we have a real-time GraphQL API, and we change our state in the database. Now then we have eventing system, which triggers several functions, update the database, and then everything is propagated to the client. So three concepts of it are real-time GraphQL, reliable eventing, and async serverless. Now, reliable eventing, because we need some kind of event system. It's not only Hasura, there are like other implementations. I think Debezium does that, and Hasura does that. And you can use event sourcing for like event sourcing pattern to create your own event system.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I wonder, like, can this kind of explode into lots of extra fields that just say whether or not certain things are verified? So like the content body is verified, the tags are verified, and so you'd have like specific fields for each one of these. Is that normally how that goes, or do you just have a single verified, like this post has been like this post is ready to go, or something? Like it seems like you'd have with the architecture that I saw, you'd have several triggers going off to make changes to that data that was just inserted, and maybe you'd wind up with a lot of fields on each one of these rows in the database that are just like I don't know, temporary and specific for just the creation time. It seems like a lot of, I don't know.
No, it's not necessarily flag. Like this example, I agree. It looks like okay, and what we introduce flags. It's not the best thing to do, right? But in fact, in this example, verified for the post makes sense. But for like more complex business logic and like production grade apps with this kind of business logic, they won't have these flags. There will be some other things going on.
So maybe like tell me if this makes sense or if this is like what. Yeah, I don't know, bad idea, but it seems like it may be better to have the mutations or the inserts go into one table in the database, and then the Netlify function kicks it off and copies that into, like, makes its modifications and copies it into the table where people are actually doing queries. So we write to one table, we read from another. Is that like a bad idea?
It's whenever your data is flat, is fine, but that's not the usual case with the SQL databases, right? You have a bunch of relationships between tables, and but typically what you will do is instead you have these tables, but you instead of looking at these tables, because you can write your own custom SQL, you will create your own views, and then you will query or subscribe to your views.
You query off the view.
Yeah. So it's pretty much close to what you said, but it's like you will create views for it. And in fact, there is an example app that does pretty much the same.
So then, because you make the view can filter out the unverified stuff. And then as far as the GraphQL endpoint is concerned, those flags don't exist.
Yeah, that's right.
Got it.
So, for example, we have this bunch of sample apps. So there is a group chat app, which has, let me actually show you it's with authentication and everything, and the backend for that. So I just wanted to show you the custom view. So if we go to data, you see these ones are the views. So if I go to SQL here, modify, I will see custom SQL, and I just do it this one on the database level, right? For users online, instead of like filtering and checking things, or like user typing, right? I can pretty much the same.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So then you can have these kind of virtual tables, and that makes your clients' queries a lot easier. So they don't have to do this filtering on in their query. They can just query that particular table to get the data they need, and they don't have to worry about whether that table actually exists or not.
Yeah.
Cool. I like that idea.
Yeah. So let's get back to our console. I think actually we can. Now I need to find my console.
Yeah, you got to make time. Sorry.
I think it's okay. So I have all the data that I need: posts, users, first name, last name.
Somebody in the chat just asked about that Explorer part of the graphical app. No, it's not part of the graphical default. Hopefully one day it will be, but it's a specific thing. Yeah, if you go to that tools link here, I'll paste it again because maybe you missed it.
Yeah, so this is the link.
You'll find it in there. It's pretty cool.
Now the thing is, this tool was not created by us. It was created by folks at OneGraph. That they do really amazing job of wrapping bunch of like REST APIs with one GraphQL API in the query, and they did this tool. So so together with them, we kind of put this as an online thing, and we integrated.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they did a lot of work. Cool. So basically, I think what we'll do now, because time-wise we won't be able to create this our front-end app. Let's just create our Lambda function and see everything works from here. And
that sounds good to me.
Yeah, and maybe later streams, we'll create this this app. Actually, I might have something similar on called Sandbox. Okay, I would think probably it will be better to add this to follow upstream. We will do the front end part. So now we will do the Netlify thing. Okay, now it's your turn.
All right.
To explain how do we get started.
Yeah. So if we open up our app here, we're using Create React App, and actually, I don't know exactly like the best way to make this work in Create React App. I know that Netlify, the CLI, actually has a like a good way to do Create React App. So maybe this would be something to Google for really quick. Netlify functions, Create React App. Yeah.
So my main question was
my thing. I'll just paste in the chat here really quick.
Mm-hmm. Which one? In the.
So I just googled Netlify functions Create React App.
Okay, let's. Now the thing is, for creating React App, well, we do whenever we have frontend. So I was curious if I have only lambdas, let's say I don't want to deploy a site. I just want functions. If it's possible at all.
Yeah. Maybe actually that'd probably be easier to build it that way. So let's go ahead and delete like pretty much everything here.
Let's just go back and not create any.
Yeah.
Let's call it demo.
Yeah, and I've got a blog post called "Super Simple Start to Serverless," where I show like the process of getting serverless up and going, like in Netlify function. So you can just go there and follow like each one of those steps to just get a function up and going.
Okay, so we will need some code. We need to init. We need package JSON, right? And we will need Netlify HTML file, which is what it's a file with its instructions, right?
Yeah. Here, you know what? Let me let's speed this up a little bit. I just pasted a link in the chat to a Netlify function example. And you can clone that, install the dependencies, and then I can
actually live share this folder with you, and maybe it will be faster if I will just do live share and you'll show how to do that.
Sure.
That. Okay. I will send it to you. I will send you on Twitter because I don't want to.
Oh, you can do Zoom, or yeah, sure, Twitter works.
Twitter or yeah. Maybe on Zoom. Okay, I will send on Zoom. It's faster.
Okay.
Yeah, just
cool.
So here you go.
Cool.
Nice. So the question is, do you have access? Can you like create new files and stuff like that?
Yeah. I think I may need to be able to like access your terminal to run stuff. But yeah, what I think would be easiest is if you clone this repo that I pasted to you in the Twitch chat.
Okay.
And then set up a share session in that repo, or you can just clone it into this directory.
Okay, I see you have Netlify here, and the functions, basically the folder where we have a bunch of functions. Each one will be deployed to a different URL.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah.
So
Let's.
Do you want to start a share in that project? Then I can take us around. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm also.
It's that time of year.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
especially with kids, they're always sick. Somebody's sick.
Yeah.
And the adults pay for it.
Exactly know. My kids were sick ago, and yeah, they bring everything from preschool. So.
Yep.
You have 4 kids, right?
Yep. 4 beautiful small children.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I have 3, but one is really grown up. 2 small ones.
Yeah, my oldest is 6. She'll be 7 in July, so she's a little bit more independent, at least. But... Yeah. Okay, here we go.
But whenever you have lots of kids, it's sort of like self-sustained. I like it.
Yeah. I grew up in a family with 11 brothers and sisters, so yeah, my siblings pretty much raised me. Okay, sweet. So yeah, let's look in the Netlify toml file first.
Yeah.
I think I'm still getting this. There we go. So in here, here we go. We have our command to run the build, and our functions is this at this .netlify functions URL. So if we look at the package.json to see what that build command does, it's using Netlify Lambda. Now this is like, now you can use Netlify dev, but I still haven't figured out the best way to do that yet. So we're sticking with Netlify Lambda for now. And so the build is going to use Netlify Lambda to run the build on the functions directory. So we put all of our functions in here, and what Netlify Lambda is going to do basically is it'll take all of the code in there and bundle it with Webpack, and then it's going to build it to our .netlify directory. And it determines that based off of our Netlify toml. So it reads in the Netlify toml and says, okay, you want your functions to be in .netlify functions. So that's where I'm going to put them when I build them. So if you go ahead and run the build, I can't do that for you, but if you npm run build, then that's it's going to take our all the files in the functions directory and create a .netlify functions directory that it will that will be the web-packed version of all that stuff.
Nice. And you also can run them locally, right, with the Netlify Lambda server.
Yeah, so that's what the dev script is all about.
And whenever I run them, they available on localhost, and I will let's actually try that. So okay, and then I can just simply go to what, to localhost
9000/hello.
Okay, got it. So let's do. Sweet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hello world.
Yeah.
So the function itself is pretty simple. Just an async function. It doesn't have to be async. In our case, it doesn't need to at all. But then you have to do a callback or something. But yeah.
Okay.
Just returns the response. So a status code of 200 and then a body that is a string. If we wanted it to be JSON, then we'd set some headers for that, and then stringify our body to be the JSON stringified thing.
Okay.
I think you probably could also do streaming and stuff like that too for bigger things. But yeah, so from here, now we just need to connect to the GraphQL database and do, I guess we're going to be responding to a trigger as a webhook.
Let's actually try to do, instead of having hello, right? Let's try to do some kind of like echo lambda, maybe deploy to Netlify and see how it works. So we'll see how the event trigger gets back, and then we'll go into like creating mutation stuff, right?
Sure.
So we have here, we have an event, and we will we can we can parse the body, right? So we can do like request right? So this is the JSON that we'll get, and now what we can paste here in the body is so we have event we have event context and callback,
yeah.
right? So do we have to return, or we need to call the callback?
Because we're doing the async, we can just return, and that'll resolve the promise to whatever we return.
Got it. So event, and I need to pass the event body that I'm getting from Hasura. Now what I want to return, I want to return status code. In the body, I will actually return stringify request event data. I believe it's like that.
Cool.
And yeah, let's try to run it locally. And
okay. You want Postman or something?
subject more, and still it looks like it's going to orbit. It takes too much time. Escape.
Ooh, you gotta get that native app, dude.
I'm working with GraphQL. I'm not using Postman for a while. Okay, let's do call it. And have localhost hello and localization. We don't need to pass any headers, right?
I don't think so. I think you should be fine. Except for maybe I don't know if course is going to be an issue. Probably not. So yeah.
What? I'm not passing headers.
Yeah, I don't think any headers.
Okay, let's just. Okay, we have because we need event.data, right?
Yeah.
Event.
Well, I think actually, yeah, what you want isn't form data.
Yeah.
Try raw. And change it from text to JSON.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, we have an event and event. Data. That's right.
Yeah, that should work.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Works. So let's actually try to deploy that. And okay, it's different this anymore, and
I think you may be able to do like a click and drag magic if you go to just app.netlify.com. Normally you're going to want to do do this with GitHub or something, but yeah, if you just go to app.netlify.com and sign in, and scroll down to the bottom, and there's this area you can click and drag, and so you just take the folder and drag it right into there.
Okay.
Because we don't have any configuration or anything either that we need to worry about. So
yeah, but the whole folder, right? Not
yeah, the whole thing.
go, and it was the function, right?
Mm-hmm. It's taking forever to upload the node modules directory, probably.
It doesn't have so much node modules, but like there was lately there was an actual image of node module out there in the space. You seen that?
I did not see that.
So there was an image of a black hole, right? And there was like a GIF about that, like zooming into black hole and like zooming in node module in the middle.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you scroll up to the top, there's functions right there. Yeah.
But I don't.
Well, here, scroll up. It looks like we may need to connect to repository. Huh. No, go back to that functions. I think that message was important. Yeah, so you'll have to make a GitHub repo to make this work.
Okay. Then what we'll do.
And then you can just go to the functions and change that, or yeah, you make that happen however you want to make that happen. Now, if you go into that directory,
I can just change remote.
You could just set the remote URL. So yeah, it'll probably be easiest.
Yeah.
It'll be set URL origin.
I forgot. I always forget origin.
Yeah, nobody knows how to use these commands.
Yeah, let's face it. That's how. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm bad at.
Yeah, we don't need to be good at them right now.
Yeah. Okay, let's connect this repo here. Authorized. Okay. Like the search works only after.
Yeah. It's sorry, I wasn't watching it. I'm not sure why. They could just debounce 500 milliseconds, but
yeah. So it's just basic build settings.
Yep, that should all work fine. Sweet. Now you should be able to go to functions, and it'll when it finishes deploying, then it should update. Why don't we go to like you could rename the site if you want to, something that's easier to remember, so we don't have to copy paste that thing.
This one.
Yeah. So if you go to the domain management maybe, or actually it's probably general.
Yeah, but I need custom
at the top.
So
not at the very top, but on the left there, general. Then change the site name.
Yeah.
So if you scroll down just a little bit,
yeah,
there, change site name, that button.
Okay, let's do it like that. And let's see. Nice. So we have our function, right? And this is the endpoint. So let's try.
So that can be our. Oh yeah, just stick it right there. And booyah! Sweet. So now let's try it with that hook.
Yeah. Let's try to add here. So what we will do, we will add an event trigger, call it hello, and we have.
Whenever we insert to post, we'll call that URL.
Yeah. And okay.
Sweet. Let's insert a post. Let's take a look at this. Actually, wait. Yeah. So where can we see the response from these different?
We will see it over there. We will see an event happen. See?
Cool.
And we will see in the result.
Nice.
Response is
sweet.
Content that we had. Timestamp, title, ID, user ID. The one that we inserted. Nice.
And so then we can take a look at the content. We can filter out the bad words.
Yeah.
Do a mutation, update, query thing, and then magic happens and users get that update.
So in fact, I had this this exact thing created for like AWS Lambda. So what we maybe should do is just I will just copy this code and we'll change it to be async without using callbacks, and we will install a bunch of dependencies and we'll make it work that way. What do you say?
Yeah, well, we'll have to do that. Maybe you can keep going without me. I've got to get going, actually.
Yeah, okay.
But that's how you wire it up all together with Netlify.
Yeah, we made it
cool.
work.
I know that the Netlify dev thing that they just released is supposed to be way better, like give a really awesome local experience, where I'm pretty sure that you can actually run Netlify dev locally and it will give you a public URL that you could paste into here to do all of your testing locally.
That's nice.
Which is pretty slick, actually.
Yeah. And considering the fact I can run Hasura locally on localhost, can be really sweet.
You can do all that locally too. But yeah, it would work either way.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. So I will continue with the thing, like with the creating the bad words filter, and we did the thing that we planned. And, it's pretty awesome. Both of us learned new stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
The database stuff, that's like, I don't do databases. I was a business intelligence engineer for a while, and I did SQL, magic, and stuff, and for long enough to realize that that's not my calling in life. And and I like building tools and UIs. Dealing with databases, not my thing. So I'm glad that there are companies like Hasura and others that make it so I don't have to do all the complex stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and in fact, like even if you have complex stuff, you can always say, okay, you know what, I don't want to deal with this like optimization and stuff. You can just click on this one, copy that, send to my DBA, and he will tell me if I should create a view or if I should do a bunch of like database stuff, right?
Yeah, let the database people do their database awesome things. And I'll just go back to writing my UI. Cool. Yeah. Hey, thanks for teaching me this stuff. It was really interesting. I hope it was helpful for people who watched.
Yeah, thanks a lot for teaching us like Netlify function. But yeah, thanks a lot for joining the stream, and hopefully in the future we'll have something new and interesting also to stream about. Maybe in a couple of months or so, we'll figure this out.
Yeah, sounds cool. Yeah. All right, we'll see everybody later.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.